There's a couple of news bits that we want to get out of the way. Obviously, everybody and their brother emailed to let us know about the district judge ruling that the National Day of Prayer is unconstitutional, something that we've all known for ages. This is a subject, we get asked quite a bit because we support separation of church and state, and so I support the Freedom from Religion Foundation's efforts to have this case get to trial and get the judge's ruling on the constitutionality of the National Day of Prayer. We, in the past, have done National Day of Reason events in conjunction with the National Day of Prayer right at the Capitol. It's not, the objection, as we've noted in the past, is not to prayer. Anybody is entitled to pray, welcome to pray. They can pray on the steps of the Capitol. They can get together and do it as churches and groups. It's public land. All they have to do is reserve it, and they go there and pray till their knees hurt. The objection has been the government's official endorsement of the National Day of Prayer as a violation of the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. It's not the government's place to direct people or direct the nation to prayer. And a district judge has finally ruled on that case and ruled that it is unconstitutional. And I am monumentally embarrassed to announce that immediately after the ruling came out, the Obama administration announced that, we really don't care so much about what that judge has to say. We're going to do the same thing we did last year, and the president's going to go ahead and sign a proclamation for the National Day of Prayer. Now, by and large, the event is pretty trivial because we're not objecting to people praying. As I mentioned, we're objecting to the government making proclamations. In this case, we have a president. I realize the case is being appealed, and eventually it'll probably go to the Supreme Court, and who knows what's going to happen when it gets there. But as it stands now, a judge has ruled, and I realize I'm not a lawyer, but I was pretty sure that until this is actually appealed, unless there's some sort of injunction on the ruling, it's a matter of law.
Yeah.
And so for a president who, of all the presidents that have sat in my lifetime, this is the one that I thought was at least most likely to get it. Granted, he is a Christian individual by his own declaration, but he's at least acknowledged non-religious people. He was raised by a humanist mother. I would think of all people, he would actually understand it. And for them to immediately come out after this ruling and say, we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. This was a court case that I wasn't sure was a really good fight to take on. There are plenty of big issues. There are plenty, and I still support it. It's a separation of church and state. It's a First Amendment issue, but you have to pick your battles. You can look kind of whiny and a nuisance going after things that to most people seem rather innocuous. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't a big fan of going after this any more than I'm a big fan of going after In God We Trust on money, etc. Now I've changed my opinion because I hope that they go forward, and I hope that they add the Obama administration to the next suit for what is, if they go forward and actually do this and make a proclamation in direct violation of a judge's ruling. I don't see what else we can do. This could have been a kind of a non-issue. You don't need to. Why is your God so weak? Is your religious view so faltering that you need the government to endorse your religious practices?
Yeah, apparently they do. And yeah, this is very disappointing news from the Obama administration. I mean, and incidentally, I think both his parents are actually atheists.
We have a weird
echo. Yeah, we've got a really weird echo here.
On Jen's mic, we've got an echo.
But yeah, as I recall, his father was a Muslim originally, and he deconverted and became an atheist. So he was raised by his mother anyway, who was a humanist, and his father actually was an atheist.
Aha. Frank's clever.
It was the TV volume that was up.
So yeah, I don't quite get it.
Yeah, of all people, he should get it.
Yeah, it's extremely disappointing.
And if this were a case of, he said, fine, I understand the ruling, but I'm still going to come out and participate in a National Day of Prayer without the proclamation.
Good for you.
Fine, no problem. You know, that's covered by the First Amendment. You're allowed to do that.
Yeah,
Because that's a personal statement.
You don't give up who you are when you take office, and
Right.
he's entitled to pray. He's entitled to go to collection of prayers. Everything else, the one and only thing that he shouldn't be allowed to do by law, and that he should recognize that he shouldn't be allowed to do, is make this proclamation. And shortly
Right.
after the judge's ruling comes out, he comes out and says that's exactly what he's going to do. Now, I will say that last year, the administration made far less of a big deal of the National Day of Prayer than previous administrations had done, but it's half-stepping.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm personally embarrassed by it in the sense that this is an administration that I at least supported.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do?
Yeah.
How much of it's politics? I don't really care. A judge has ruled, at a minimum, you should say, I would like to be able to present a proclamation, but until this appeal is settled, I'm bound by law not to. How hard is that? Isn't that the right thing to do, both ethically and legally?
Yeah.
It's an abomination